You are now watching Maine Wire TV with your host, Tom Shattuck, featuring Maine Wire Editor-in-Chief Steve Robinson and the indispensable John Featherston.
They're expecting Steve Robinson at some point today, but let's get right to the star of the day, the iconic blade of Graham Pollard's, which was featured today in the Portland Press Herald. Byline Rachel winner of this Maine Republican governor debate will get a sword. The Maine Wire's event is among several upcoming debates and forums as activity picks up in the governor's race. Republican candidates for governor will meet for a debate this month in which the winner has been promised an unusual prize, a sword. The Maine Wire, a media arm of the Maine Policy Institute, is hosting a Republican gubernatorial debate on March 24th, 7 p.m. at the Cross Insurance Center in Bangor. The Wire announced the debate on social media this week as a clash in the Queen City, teasing that it will include in post and pre-debate entertainment, and the winning candidate gets a sword. She keeps saying that. In response to questions about the debate, including whether the winner will actually get a sword, and if so, how the winner will be determined, Maine Wire Editor-in-Chief Steve Robinson sent the Press Herald a photo of the sword engraved with Sword of Truth in the Maine Wire logo in no written response. I didn't know we officially did that. The Press Herald confirmed with 8 of the 11 Republican candidates that they plan to attend. It'll include Jonathan Bush, Bobby Charles, David Jones, Jim Libby, Garrett Mason, Owen McCarthy, Ben Midgley, and Robert Wessels. So there you go. I will say, all in all, you know, I realize that Rachel is they're getting clout by, you know, mentioning the Maine Wire, and rather than talk about the right whales and salmon fishing. But I like her copy. I thought it was not a negative hit piece, which is what I would have done if I were them.
The Maine Wire Sword of Truth is already taking over the presses by storm with the front page report on the Press Herald. I also expected it to be a hit piece, and got to give Rachel credit. I thought that it was a good story she wrote on it. So yeah, we announced the debate, A Clash in the Queen City, which will be the premier political event of the calendar season. And the winner will get this beautiful Maine Wire Sword of Truth. So I just would like to stress that this is not a cheap prop. This is a legitimate, high-quality sword from a very renowned and respected sword maker. And we got it engraved with the Maine Wire Sword of Truth. So whoever wins the debate, which will be decided by the audience, and we're working out exactly the best way to do it. We might do like a Dancing with the Stars model where it's a combo audience poll, like a expert panel type of thing, but undecided. But we'll figure that out, and the winner of the debate will get the Maine Wire Sword of Truth. So it will be the event of the century, at least for the political primary season. We're really excited about it, and definitely check it out on the 24th. The tickets are available right up on the screen right there.
This is one of those things. If you're in a media company, this is an example of something that was not run by legal. That's precisely what's going on here. And also, John, you and I have worked in traditional media for a long time. Back over in traditional media, we never used to have a sword budget. But welcome to the Maine Wire.
We're making a difference everywhere. I mean, our competition puts us on the front page. You know, the Trump administration reaches out to us. You know, Governor Mills is afraid of us. The Maine Wire is a serious organization here, and we're changing the world and the way things are handled in Maine. And it's just great. It's great to be a small part of a great team, you know?
Well said, John. And look at this. Is that a Maine Liar t-shirt, Grandpa?
It is. So for 2 years, we had no Maine Wire merchandise, and then Tom Shattuck rolls around, and now I've got my Maine Wire Columbia jacket fleece, which is fantastic. I've got my Maine Wire t-shirt, and I've got an engraved Maine Wire sword, all back to back to back. So it's we're making moves here over at the Maine Wire.
That's great looking merch. Great looking merch. And thank you, Rachel. I hope you're coming to the event to cover the event. And you know what? There might be a cocktail in it for you, or whatever we've got on hand. I don't know what people drink anymore now. What is the stuff that's the cinnamon nips that young people have?
Fireball?
Fireball.
Fireball, yeah. Fireball's on us, Rachel. Okay. Let's move along here. First of all, John, tell us where you are John Featherston?
I am standing on the side of the road in Kennedy Park in downtown Lewiston. I'm in front of 190 Bates Street, Moonlight Group Homes. You guys all remember the group home that we went to, and and unfortunately somebody sent us the video of the person getting out. This is the organization. Matt and I went here last week, and I think we've got a little bit of video. I think the video will tell the story a little bit better than I. So Matt, if you've got that, go ahead and roll. So we're in Lewiston. It's our second time back here to Hope Family Support Services here on Bates Street. We walk in, we're met at the door. Hey, can we help you? Oh, we're with somebody.
Hi, my name's John. I'm with the Maine Wire.
Do you have permissions coming here?
I'm sorry?
Do you have permissions coming here?
Well, maybe you're the guy that I have to ask that. How are you?
I'm talking to you.
Okay, all right, I can wait, thank you.
So we excuse ourselves and we go wait in the lobby for about 10 minutes or so. We see that he wraps up with the client. He comes back, locks the door. So we go down, we knock on the door, and he's like, who is it? And I'm like, what do you mean, who is it? You know who it is. We've been sitting out in the lobby for, a couple minutes waiting for you. John from the Maine Wire. I just want to ask you some questions. You get a very faint behind the door, I'm busy.
It's John from the Maine Wire. I've been waiting out in the lobby here for you. Okay. Is there a time that we can maybe set up that you and I could talk? No?
I've been coming to ask you questions. I've been working with your staff and asking questions. You know who I am when I walk in the door. I'm waiting in the lobby, and then you lock your door and don't want to talk to me. I'm not saying you're doing anything wrong, but is that a sign of somebody that doesn't have something that they don't want us to know? Never a boring day here in the city of Lewiston.
Yeah.
So a little follow up. So I'm in front of the building again, and I've gone upstairs again today and knocked on the door. And as I'm coming out, if you guys remember the red Cadillac that almost ran me over when I went to the house,
yes.
Well, it's right over there. So a little muscle memory comes back to me and says, oh, wait a minute. The guy who was driving that red Cadillac looks just like the guy who didn't want to open up the door out there. So his car's out here, but he's not answering his door. Like, once again, if you've got nothing to hide, you've got nothing to say, let's have a conversation. Let's talk about, the opportunities in home health care in the state of Maine. But everywhere you go, it's just, deflect, guarded. We don't want to talk. We can't talk. We won't talk. But meanwhile, the federal government's involved. The federal government's coming down, and I had the opportunity. I filled in for Steve this morning on the Rick Tyler, George Hale show. We're turning the clocks ahead an hour this week. Janet Mills loses an hour to get her proposal ready to, get back to Dr. Oz. So, we got to, she's got to get going here. But if nobody's cooperating and telling us what's going on, how is she even going to respond back to the federal government? So it's going to be an interesting weekend, I think.
It's funny because if there are these hearings, like the ones that were in D.C. yesterday and a few days ago, all you have to do is roll just your footage, John, just to say to Governor Mills, okay, there's 18 businesses here in this building. There's a reporter walking around. There are no human beings in the building. Where's the oversight? I mean, it's so damning. And I'm amazed by, why didn't, if you're somebody in the Mills administration or in Health and Human Services in Maine, somebody's got to lock these doors and keep you out. You can't just keep being exposed like this. This stuff is getting all around the world. This is like traveling everywhere. I mean, we've made the Somali papers. It's just like, I'm surprised. Hey, Graham, are they unwilling to stem the tide here, or are they unable to?
I actually didn't know that the clocks moved ahead this week, John. So thank you for the heads up on that one. I appreciate it.
You lose an hour of sleep.
Yeah, yeah, fantastic. I've been thinking about this a lot, and I think the Mills Plattner dynamic, I know we talk about it all the time here, and it's probably getting tiresome. I think that does have something to do with the fact that nothing is happening on this stuff. because a huge investigation into this fraud with national news and Portland Press Herald and Bangor Daily News picking up would be devastating for the Mills administration. So it really wouldn't surprise me. In fact, I think it's probably happening that her goons in the press department, the people that always tell John to shoot them an email, I think they might be shooting some emails of their own over to their friends at the Press Herald and the Bangor Daily News and say, hey, no matter what you do, don't look into this stuff because we need to wait until at least the primary is over before reporting is on this.
Or maybe, and this is cynical, John, is it possible that the Mills senatorial campaign is simply a way to hide? Is this simply a way to run cover for this scandal?
I was touching on that a little bit yesterday. Yeah, I think this either she drops out because she knows that the spotlight's going to come on her. And do you want to run for United States Senate and have Nancy Mace asking you the questions that she asked Tim Walz yesterday because she won't be able to answer them? Or does she run this campaign and then try to become, well, I'm going to fix all this when I get in the United States Senate? You couldn't fix it when you were the governor, but you're now going to run a campaign saying you're going to fix it when you're a United States Senator. So it's going to be an interesting, next couple of weeks, with the federal response, if she turns in her papers, I don't understand how this is allowed to go on. It's just ridiculous. And I was at another place today. We'll probably roll on it tomorrow, but it'll be, unfortunately, it's not good news that we'll probably report, tomorrow.
Yeah.
I felt the same way with the Triad Weed story and the fact that we have a massive foreign criminal organization from a number one adversary. I think everyone would agree that China is the United States' number one foreign adversary. I don't think there's really any dispute over that. And you have an organized crime tied to the Chinese government operating across Maine. There's no doubt it's happening. It's not like, the Maine Wire is making stuff up. There's absolutely no doubt it's happening. Everybody knows it's happening. And nothing is being done about it. And there's been absolutely no action from the administration to it. You have OCP, the Office of Cannabis Policy licensing these people. And it's like, how is this going on? How is there a massive foreign criminal organization operating a vast network in Maine and nothing is being done about it? And it's the exact same thing with this story. It just boggles the mind that you have something that everybody knows is wrong, but somehow nothing can be done. There's really no legitimate explanation for it other than the fact that there's kickbacks or cover up or it's politically disadvantaged or something along those lines that would result in the state not taking action here.
Yeah, and it's just not a priority of elected Democrats, progressives in the state to look at this stuff. They look the other way, and that's why Maine is making national news now, week in and week out. But what they do prioritize, man, if you're part of a school board and you try to suggest that maybe we should respect Title IX as Donald Trump has used an executive order to reinvigorate, well, then they're going to come down on you. If you want men out of girls' locker rooms, then they're going to come down on you. If you want teenage boys to be able to ogle, teenage girls getting in a state of undress in a locker room or, before a sports game in a high school in Maine, then you've got the attention and the backing of Maine Democrats, which brings us to a great piece that Seamus Othot did. Conservative Augusta school board member receives letter of reprimand after speaking against pro-trans policies. We value your insights. This is fantastic. This is a letter to James Orr. He is a school board guy who was suggesting that we need to protect girls, and they tore him one in this letter saying, stop it. Don't do that anymore. You don't go after your fellow board members. And of course, if you speak up, and there's some video here that we'll play here, Matt, if you speak up at all for women and against the school board, they consider that a personal attack. And so they're just trying to shut people down. And James Orr talked to Matt last week, I think in the MWTV thread there.
I ran into him at the State House. Yeah.
So tell me about the letter you just shared with me.
Well, the letter I just had received is actually on the 27th of February, is a formal admonishment regarding violations of the board code of ethics. First one saying that I'm saying disparaging remarks against fellow board members. The only thing that I've actually done is basically go and talk about the chair and the violations of the First Amendment in public forum, and making comment about the continued violations of not supporting Title IX, which is a second violation of graciously accepting a decision once it's been made. And I can't in my right mind graciously accept anything when we're violating Title IX, we're lying to kids, we're allowing the abuse to happen in our schools.
Give me your state of the Augusta school systems and education right now.
Well, I think, the state itself is ranked at the bottom of our nation. And so there are things that we're trying to do. We're trying to improve reading scores, so we've implemented some pieces. But how can we actually have a conversation of academic achievement when we still think that a boy can be a girl, so we can't actually teach biology? We're not actually teaching science. And how are we supposed to be able to teach the English language if a boy can be a her or a they, them? Completely misusing the pronouns of our English language that has been around for thousands of years.
So what's going to be your follow-up on this meeting? There's a meeting coming up on what, March 11th?
March 11th.
Okay.
So I will plan on giving my official response to this on then.
Well, stay tuned, and we'll make sure to cover it for the Maine Wire. So thank you.
So, John, culturally, a lot of the country now is running like hell from this issue. They have stopped embedding boys in with girls. Duh. And they stopped invading girls' spaces, and they've even stopped in some places, and this really hurts them, reading pornography to children and putting chest binders on young ladies. So many of these creeps are just dispersing here. At the same time, you've got people like James Tallarico just won his primary against Jasmine Crockett, and he's a wacko, big-time gender guy. So is Maine going the way of logic and reason again, or are they going the way of Tallarico still?
What I've seen, Tom, in my short full-time stint here in Maine is that common sense is prevailing. What I saw during the November elections, covering them for the Maine Wire, and the Dad's Girl Sports effort was doing a signature. I saw people of all political denominations, Democrats, Republicans, Independents, everybody was signing up for it, because anybody with common sense knows that boys don't belong in girls' sports. It's an 80-20 issue, and it's refreshing to see that common sense is returning. Now, it's hard because, you still have to talk about it, people, and the education system is still trying to push it on the children here. And that's, sometimes pushing a string uphill when you're dealing with the education system. But not that anybody should take their foot off the gas, but, I don't see that initiative not passing, and I do see common sense returning. And, it's the one thing that, people can, you were made to feel uncomfortable about speaking out up against this, but the truth always comes out, and common sense does always prevail. It always takes longer than we want it to, but eventually those two things have always been proven to be true.
Yeah, and Graham, you can do all the pronoun inventing that you want to, and create this spectrum and a whole construct full of this whole trans ideology that you want. But at the end of the day, it's not about hormones. At the end of the day, it's about biology. Biology doesn't give a frig how you butcher a child or whatever you do for drugs to a person. A boy is a boy and a girl is a girl.
Absolutely. I really wish that I had the bandwidth over the last 6 months to pay more attention to the Augusta School Board, because the Augusta School Board might be the most drama of any public meeting in the entire state over the last 6 months. There's been some unbelievable scenes and some incredible viral moments that have come out. The activist Corn Pop Nick Blanchard, who we've interviewed or Steve has interviewed for the Robinson Report, he's put on. I mean, they're stunts, but they're great. They prove an excellent point. He had people that he brought in that stripped down and changed their clothes in the middle of the school board meeting, and of course that was ruled inappropriate. But that's what's happening in these locker rooms. The chair of the school board of Augusta is like the textbook Karen to end all Karens. Like, it does not get more Karen than her.
Muffy.
So yeah, Muffy. Yeah. So it's very funny that it's just become a war between her and anyone who's on the right side of history. And like, she's clearly on the wrong side of history on this one. But it's become such an entrenched issue that they're going to just do whatever it takes to keep men and women's sports. It's disgusting. It's despicable.
Yeah.
But for her, it's more about, winning against these evil conservatives and the kids. Like that's what it is. It's terrible. She should be voted out. This is the one issue John was saying it, and it's 100% right, that common sense Mainers, conservative Mainers are having some wins with across the state. Not in Augusta, but generally across the state. I believe it was, you might have saw this, John, was it Winthrop that just voted to follow Title IX yesterday?
That is correct. Yep.
I believe it was Winthrop. Yep. And we're seeing that more and more across the state. So the good guys are winning, and there's been some real excellent and real successful grassroots efforts to promote more common sense school board candidates across the state. So the people running that have done a tremendous job. And other than some holdouts like Augusta, I think it's moving in the right direction.
Heidi Sampson's been doing God's work out here, making this a big issue and working with the schools and stuff like that. So, I mean, it doesn't just take care of itself. It takes, people being involved, and, the dads and girls sport thing is great too. So, I mean, but I feel the tide is changing. I
think the Augusta School Board is the one where, whenever they would talk about how they needed to have this porn read to kids, that the progressive women on the school board would do this thing. This, like, whatever that is. Oh man, it's ugly stuff.
Breaking news though, Nick Blanchard did call me today. He is officially collecting signatures because he's running for the Augusta School Board. So I told him I'd do an article later this week about it, but he did call me today. So
here we go.
It should be interesting.
That'll be interesting. That'll be a good campaign.
So we should probably, because it's what we should do in the name of equal time and equal time grifting. We're going to talk about something that just went down today. That is grifting by a non-Somali. So this is grifting. These are grifting by white people. And it's resulted in, among other things, Kristi Noem's sacking. Kristi Noem just got fired today. And in part because of what Senator John Kennedy, the exchange he had with her earlier this week. I think we've got that, Matt. This is she's Homeland Security. He's a senator, and he's asking about some money that was moved around by her.
How do you square that concern for waste, which I share, with the fact that you have spent $220 million running television advertisements that feature you prominently?
Sir, the president tasked me with getting the message out to the country and to other countries where we were seeing the invasion come from, with putting commercials out that told them that if they were in this country illegally, that they needed to leave, or we would detain them and remove them, and they'd not get the chance to come back to America the right way. That has been extremely effective.
Ask you to run these advertisements, is that right?
We had that conversation, yes, before I was put in this position and sworn in and confirmed, and since then as well.
Okay. Did you bid out those service contracts?
Yes, they did. They went out to a competitive bid, and career officials at the department chose who would do those advertising commercials.
Okay, that's fine right there. So here's the two things. One, when she says that she discussed it with President Trump, mostly she didn't discuss it with President Trump. And he did not sign on off these. These are the commercials that have her as G.I. Jane. And also, it was a no-bid contract, and it was given to a guy who just started a business, just started a media company like a week earlier. So this is good old-fashioned, Maine care, money getting moved around here, just in a different way. Yep. And she got whacked, and I think that's great. I think she had it coming. Sayonara, lady.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Totally agree. This is one of the good things about Trump that I think people might not appreciate is that he's willing to cut bait on when one of his people does something objectively wrong, which is what it seems like what happened here. Like if this was a Biden administration official, this would be covered up. I have no doubt about it. And I do think Markwayne Mullin is a very good choice to replace Kristi Noem. He's, I think, one of the more impressive senators. Every time I hear him talk, seems to have the experience for the role, and I think would definitely be an upgrade. And yeah, Kristi Noem, she does love to put her face out there. I did see a very funny post like an hour before this Trump tweet announcing it that it was probably a scheduled post. It was something about like deportations, but it just had Kristi Noem's face on the on the graphic that DHS put out there for absolutely no reason whatsoever. And that kind of sums it up. Yeah, I think it's a good move. I think it'll improve the department.
And John, we're trying to do serious things in this country, with ICE, and these extractions are very dangerous. They're very sensitive. Obviously, this has been a very tough year for law enforcement. You can't have somebody LARPing and role playing with her Kevlar vest on, pretending she's part of an invasion force driving a four-wheeler. It's clownish, and it just totally undermines the seriousness of what like Tom Homan is doing.
It always made me feel uncomfortable seeing her with her hair extensions and her makeup on and everything. I got to meet her. She came to Massachusetts when Jeff Deal was running for governor of Massachusetts, and we went to a Red Sox game together. Nice lady, but she never instilled the confidence in me that this was a serious issue. I always felt like I was watching like a Kristi Noem commercial, not a Homeland Security commercial. I don't wish her any ill will, but well-timed change, and Homeland Security is the biggest issue in America right now, and we need somebody that's going to be taking it seriously, not making themselves look good.
Yeah, well, especially since now, who knows what the fallout's going to be from the Iran war?
Exactly.
In the homeland, we were talking about 20 years ago there being elements of Hezbollah, stateside. So who knows who's embedded in this country already? And we definitely need somebody who's more serious. And I'll say another thing just about, there are little things about people that as somebody who hires people that you can see. And when she wrote the book and put the part in about shooting her dog, it's okay. Maybe somewhere that's foreign to me, there's a case to be made for why the bad hunting dog needed to get shot. Maybe, but for her to use her judgment to say, that needs to go in the book to show I'm a badass, was moronic on a nuclear level. Graham, people generally like dogs.
Yeah, I know. She's been rightfully clowned for that one. I totally agree. Can't say I'm a hunter, but maybe there's a reason for it. But I never understood why she couldn't have given it to a shelter or given it up for adoption. And those dogs are usually like great loving dogs. Yeah, I agree with everything you just said there.
John, I'm reminded of when I worked I was the executive producer at WRKO in Boston. It's the talk station. This is like 20 years ago. And we needed board ops. We needed producers to run the board. And this kid, I interviewed him, and he seemed pretty good. He was a little older, so you're like, why haven't you been doing this entry-level thing now for 20 years? But that's fine. It's okay. And I remember he came to his first day on the job. He came running in, like almost late, with a cat carrier, a cat box with him, and said, "Can I just put this in your office real quick?" And I said, "Sure." But I knew that was going to be it. I knew that the cat box guy wasn't going to last. There's just things that you get. Fethy is talking to somebody. Come on, move that camera, Featherston.
Yeah, I love it. We're getting live action here on Mainwire TV. You never know what you're going to find on Mainwire TV with John Featherston working the streets here.
I think he's shooing somebody away. We should be hearing this. Oh, no, okay. Now it seems like a handshake or a drug transaction happened.
The mic is muted, John.
We can't hear you.
Okay. All right. Hey, thank you.
I don't really care if they see me or anything like that, but I just like everything you're doing. Showing up to city council.
Hey.
Trying to get the money back.
Nice.
The shootings. I really like that. And you're trying to get these motherfuckers out of here. People are so bad.
All right.
Right on.
Thanks for saying hello. Yeah, I really appreciate it. Yeah.
That's great. My goodness. We should make a promo out of that. Yeah. So, well, I mean, it just goes to show, John, that people are appreciating you going out there, and we have to do a heavy. You want to know what the night of the debate, we'll talk about it, but we have to get into Featherston's head here because I wonder, do you know how to act anymore if you go to like a Four Seasons and everybody's really nice to you and like being accommodating and answering questions? Do you?
It might be offsetting. Yeah, it might be offsetting.
Yeah.
Yes. My friend Charlie Baker once said that John Featherston has the personality that he can work with anybody, but I don't feel like that works up here in Lewiston or Portland, Maine. So like, because I can work with anybody, but I mean, we run into a lot of defiance. So, but I'm happy to work with anybody who wants to make a better world or a better Maine. That's for sure. But
well, somebody who wants to do that is your friend, John, Troy Jackson. Troy Jackson has done a video, done a new ad in Fort Kent, where I got drunk in the river in Fort Kent in 1989.
Are there pictures?
There are not. Well, maybe there could be, but it's pre-digital. But so listen to this. This is a video spot that co-stars Graham Plattner and Troy Jackson. I had not known this before. He's a real badass.
I've been in the Maine legislature for 20 years. I've been watching people with power and influence basically screw us, making it hard for people to make a living, making it hard for people to make their payments, making it hard for people to have health insurance. It's time to upset the fucking status quo. It's time to upset the whole system. And that is why Graham is someone that I am so excited about. I'm sick to death of the establishment telling us what we have to do. And until we elect people like Graham Plattner up and down this state, up and down this country, we're never going to change it. And that's why I'm endorsing this man, because he's going to change our lives in the U.S. Senate. Thank you, Troy. You got it, brother.
Just a couple of bros in the pool hall, Graham. Shooting the breeze.
I would kill to know how many takes they filmed that pool shot montage in the beginning. I bet you they missed like 80 to 90% of those shots and got a couple to work with.
Did I hear the F-bomb in there too?
He sure as hell
tough
did.
Guy Troy Jackson, macho man with that throwing on that Maine accent heavy. This is my favorite rebrand in all of Maine politics because nobody is more establishment than Troy Jackson. The guy is the establishment. If you think establishment, you think Troy Jackson.
He's not. Did you see his polyester uniform top with the name tag on it that was sewn in?
Yeah, I know. He's got that red hunting hat that he throws on and thinks we're going to forget about his 22 years of service in the Maine legislature. First elected as a Republican in 2000, then he ran, first ran as a Republican, then elected as an independent. Then he was the president of the Senate as a Democrat at a time when the Senate was, or the entire House was completely controlled by the Democrats. I mean, nobody had more power to accomplish what they wanted to do than Troy Jackson. And now he's rebranding as like this Mamdani outsider figure. Mm-hmm. It's hilarious. The only reason he thinks he can get away with it is because like the average person doesn't pay attention to that type of local politics, unfortunately, like Augusta State House. When you're running TV ads, like a good percentage of the people would have no idea he was the Senate president before. Excellent shirt. I will say he does have a career in t-shirt modeling because, I mean, look at that. If that's not selling you a shirt, I don't know what would. But, yeah, no, he's in 5th place according to the new Pan Atlantic poll that came out yesterday. 3rd place according to another poll that came out recently. The debate against Bobby Charles didn't do him any favors. So, and he's been, I mean, it's very obvious he's going to endorse Graham Plattner. He was campaigning with Graham Plattner on stage with Bernie Sanders earlier last year, I think. So that's not a surprise whatsoever. But it is just hilarious to watch this rebrand where he's pretending to be an outsider. It's just like the exact opposite is true.
Well, you see Matt Dunlap, go to a Plattner rally. You see, Troy Jackson. All these guys are jumping in and getting on the bandwagon. Do they understand that he's not going to win and it's only going to help the Republican Party in the future? Because the establishment guys are jumping on and, showing their true colors. So, I mean, it's going to be a fun, primary and general election, but it's only going to benefit Maine when we get these establishment hacks out of the way, though, I think. So
he lost a select board election in his own town when the vote had like 150 total votes. And then he demanded a recount and he was all bitchy about it. And that tells you all you got to know about Troy Jackson. If the people in his local town aren't voting him for select board why does anyone think that he should be the governor?
Well, and also, Graham, I think that we should concentrate on this ad again, is that this pool scene, that's a theatrical scene. Okay, guys, this is the scene where we do bro stuff. Like those two didn't go play pool and it was captured by cameras. They literally got lighting and a crew and coffees and hats, and they shot pool for the cameras.
They're mad. They're mad.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Tom. Like this entire thing, they probably closed down the bar, whatever bar it was in, and staged people in the background. But they definitely had lightings and mic setups. They were doing multiple takes. Like this is the production, and then they got the guy in the what's that, like a fireman's outfit walking behind him, and the TVs in the background. Just a bunch of bros hanging out playing pool. Mm-hmm. And then this guy is like, what is he doing here? He's just charming the entire bar into listening to his political speech here. Like, it's total theater. And as we know, I mean, Graham Plattner is an actor. Troy Jackson's trying to pick up cues from that. This is what they're doing here in Maine and across the country. This kind of like Mamdani-esque. It's a Mamdani playbook where you have a really good digital team and you have someone. I personally don't think Troy is very charismatic, but he, at least in his mind, he thinks he's charismatic, and like they're using that to win the election rather than any substance behind it. It's a very funny commercial.
Well, but I will say one thing that Mamdani, usually they did him being Mamdani, him eating the food, the gach or whatever it was he ate, or sitting in a chair and just smiling. And he's an Insta influencer. And the one time they strayed from that is when they had him go lifting. So remember, he lifted weights and he benched about 26 pounds and then had trouble, needed the spotter for it.
Right.
So you got to look out. And I will say another thing about this is that at least these aren't, well, I don't really know, but there have been times, let me say this diplomatically, there have been times where in the last few years, the left Democrats have trafficked what seem to be very obviously homosexual men as very alpha straight men. And it's fine. I hope gay politicians are as great as any other politicians. Have fun. This is not a disparage on gay people, but to force a beta to carry a rifle and to force a beta, male, into these positions. I'll even go back to Michael Dukakis in the tank. It's like, don't ask people to take too much of this stuff. And actually, Charlie Baker once did this, John.
Yep.
Charlie once did this a little because Charlie was, for Republicans, was considered. This is Massachusetts' former governor. Charlie couldn't win because the left, he had to fight being considered a mean Republican, and the right thought he was too squishy and soft on stuff. But I remember one time the great thing with Charlie was they had a debate somewhere, a town hall, and somebody said, "Yeah, Charlie, I'm from Dorchester," and Charlie said, "What parish?" Because so he'd been coached to say what parish, and like he even had a Boston accent, and it was like, no, Charlie, you can speak like a Harvard kid. It's okay. But so does this win the hearts and minds, John, of any blue collar Mainers?
No. If you've already decided if you're voting for Graham Plattner, and you've already decided if you're voting for Troy Jackson, this doesn't change anything. I mean, it makes for good content on Mainwire TV, but does it change people's voting? I mean, the Democrat primary has already been decided. We just have to hold it. Let's move it up and get it over with. But if you're a Plattner guy, you're a Plattner guy. He's never going to win you over if you're not, because of his excess baggage. And if you're a Mills person, we could talk about why you're a Mills person, but you're a Mills person. You're not going to come off of it to vote for him because Troy Jackson plays pool, and Troy Jackson even said it in this debate last week. He's no fan of Janet Mills either. So, I mean, it's not going to sway any voters, I don't think. I mean, what do you think, Graham?
Well, I think he dropped the I'm not a fan of Janet Mills line in anticipation of this endorsement for Graham Plattner. Yeah. I think when he was Senate president, he would never have said that in a million years. No. If I could just make a shameless plug here, maybe if Troy Jackson wore a Maine Liar t-shirt during that commercial, I might be a little more positive to it. I think he'd look great in that. But yeah, thank you, Michelle. Michelle says, my Maine Wire fleece was delivered today. It's high quality and beautiful. Hopefully the dress code for the debate will allow me to proudly sport it. absolutely, Michelle. I would hope you rock that fleece in there. But
Yes.
enough of the shilling of the beautiful Maine Wire merch. I totally agree, John, that he's just not gonna win. Like, that's what it boils down to.
No,
he's just not gonna win.
He's
So
not
if you're
gonna win.
donating to Troy, you're wasting your money. But it'll be fun to see the campaign happen. If he's giving us content, I can't complain.
By the way, Graham, I have gone to HR about the fleece causing me to feel traumatized and fat shamed, only coming in 2XL. So you'll be hearing about that. But I have good news. Breaking news, guys. Listen to this. Just heard from Steve Robinson, editor-in-chief of the Maine Wire and the Robinson Report, a fan of the great work that John Featherston does for the Maine Wire, has donated a $500 dash cam for John to use. So that way we can get your execution in full high-res color, John.
Wow, how generous is that? That's wonderful. Wow,
that is great.
Well deserved. Well deserved.
Yeah.
Thank you. Do we know the name of the person who did that? We'd like to say thank you. Yeah.
He didn't tell me. Name her or him. You think it's a guy or a girl?
Well, reach out to me at john@themainewire.com. Send me an email, and I'll buy you lunch, and we'll test the camera together. Yeah.
Yeah, that is great. That is great. So let me ask you guys something. We have everybody in Maine. Every elected Democrat in Maine is very upset at Susan Collins because she voted against the War Powers resolution, and essentially she doesn't want to hinder the operation that's happening right now. This is a Democratic like poison pill, essentially, just to try to get to see who the hawks are. Will Susan Collins be hurt? Did I say Janet Mills? I meant Susan Collins if I said Janet Mills. Will Susan Collins be hurt in a general election for being pro-Iran war?
No, I personally don't think so. I think this was a great vote for her. I was actually very pleasantly surprised she took this vote. Even if you don't agree with the war, I think this is just a pointless exercise that the Democrats are doing here. And I agree with everything Susan Collins said in the statement. Like, maybe you wish the war didn't start, but what would be the benefit of just ending it today? It doesn't really make any strategic sense to me. And if you see the stats on Iranian missile and drone launches, they have gone down significantly every day since the start of the operation. It was like 365 ballistic missiles on day one, and they did 40 yesterday. So it appears that the military effort to degrade their missile capabilities is actually working and proceeding correctly. So it does send the wrong message to the troops that are working tirelessly in this campaign. Like, if you start something, you want to finish it. And it's not like, there has been tragically some casualties, but it appears that things are going in the right direction from everything I've seen. So this is totally the right move by Susan Collins. And I think potentially more Democrats support the war in Iran than they let on. Even if there's a lot of Republicans that don't agree with the war in Iran, I actually think this helped Susan Collins in this war, this resolution vote.
I agree. Yep. I was pleasantly surprised by her response as well. And what are you going to do? Stop? You're 5 days in. You're going to stop now? No.
Right.
I mean, once you commit to a mission like this, you have to see it through, good, bad, or indifferent. And, it just shows you how, we have no patience in this country anymore. Like, let this play out.
Yeah.
Yes, gas prices are going up, and not everybody agrees that this was a good idea, but if you don't, pick up a history book and read a history book, and then let's sit down and have a cup of coffee and talk about it. This is an important thing. This is an important moment in all of our lives. And war is never easy. War is never popular, and there's going to be casualties, unfortunately. But once we committed to this, we got to see it through. And and I said it last week during Maine Wire TV. Where were these congressmen when, for months, we knew we were sending aircraft carriers? Where were they when we were sending, our stealth bombers? Where were they when they were getting calls in their constituent offices? Hey, my son is being sent off to war. My daughter is being sent off to war. It's not like you didn't know this was going to happen. And that's where I get very frustrated with these politicians. He didn't tell us. No, you didn't ask. You didn't do your job and follow up and say, what's going on? Because you have every right as a United States Senator or Congressman to say, I've got some questions here. And here's the thing, Trump would take their call, you know? If Jim McGovern picked up the phone and said, hey, Don, I want to talk to you about what's going on, he'd be like, I'll send a car. Well, come over in 20 minutes. We'll sit down. We'll talk about it. So this is all theater. It's all theatrics, and I'm disgusted by it.
I'll take it one step farther, John. Where were these people when we were sending $1 trillion to Ukraine? Shelley Pingree had a Ukraine flag in her bio, and now she's immediately doing Instagram videos as soon as this war happened, saying it's unconstitutional, it's uncongressional. We sent more money to Ukraine than we're spending on this war so far. And what did we gain out of that one? It's not like Ukraine won that war. I mean, it's at best a stalemate, and that's against a nuclear armed power, maybe the third biggest military, the first biggest military in the world.
Yep.
They were all gung ho for that one, and now because it's Trump, it's a nightmare. And then I will say, to Angus King's point, I think Angus King might be the biggest hypocrite in this entire situation, because nobody has been more pro-war over the last 15 years than Angus King. Angus King hasn't met a war he doesn't like. And nobody's been ranting and raving about laser beams more than Angus King. And now we're actually using laser beams successfully in air defense, or at least Israel is. And Angus King, the best he can do is just attack Trump over this. Incredibly hypocritical by both of those members.
And you know what? It's also a matter of, you said it, John. People need to read about war. People need to learn about war. Or you don't even, you know what? Just do what I do. Put on a documentary and crack a beer at night and go to bed and learn about the Battle of the Bulge or freaking Tarawa or any of these other, and learn about the realities and the friendly fire and the ordnance problems and the field massacres, and learn about the realities. And so that when you get it fed to you, during the Iraq War, it was Jon Stewart telling millennials, being the storyteller, telling them how they should feel about this. But now if you get it fed to you by some lunatic on Instagram or TikTok, then you're like chilled because, oh my goodness, I can't believe this. We torpedoed a submarine and didn't save the sailors. This is crazy. It's like, no, learn your history. And it is just such a sad thing. It's like, there were just under 5,000 Americans killed in Iraq, I think, John.
I think that's a close number. Yeah, I think so. Yep.
I mean, that's tragic and a terrible number, but like we lost more during Operation Overlord, a hell of a lot more than that, and a hell of a lot more in every campaign in the South Pacific. It's like there's a time when, as a country, when you've got to realize that you need to buck the hell up, and the world becomes safe because men make sacrifices to make it safe. Yep. We freaking just take stuff for granted right now. You want it to be nice and clean and antiseptic and look like the first Gulf War, where it took 15 minutes and like we lost 100 people. Oh, there we go.
Oh, here we go. That's a beautiful dash cam. There you go, John.
Oh, I can't see it because I'm on my phone, but
yeah, it's lovely. King.
Thank you.
My goodness, man, John, are we going to see a Featherston candidacy for something? Is this what's happening here, Graham? Pollard, is this what's happening here? Is this the populist movement?
Well, Shenabella apparently thinks that John is running against her for governor, so maybe he will. Maybe be a last-minute candidate.
I got to get my signatures in. Yeah, got to get my signature in.
But to go back to what you were saying, Tom, I totally agree. And we wouldn't need to have 100,000 troops stationed in the Middle East during quote unquote peacetime if there wasn't a regime like Iran that was hell bent on death to America all the time.
Yes.
If that was a peaceful region, we would be able to at least afford less of a presence, saving a lot of money and a lot of like this tripwire everyone complains about. If you have an Iran and an Afghanistan and Iraq that are very pro USA or pro peace, doesn't even have to be pro USA. If you got an Iran that was similar to Saudi Arabia or UAE, it would be a tremendous thing for America, in my opinion.
Yeah, and if we can manage to keep the Strait of Hormuz open for the free flow of oil and use the Kurds seem to want to be the proxy ground troops. Go right ahead, lads. Maybe we can bring it to a resolution. but we'll see. So far, I'm astounded at how brilliant this campaign is.
Yeah.
Just absolutely astounded. And I know I'm told that I'm supposed to hate Pete Hegseth because he's a Fox News guy who, sent a stupid signal message to an Atlantic reporter. But I'm impressed with him. I think he's doing a great job, and I'm impressed with him. I'm impressed with Raising Cane. I like the way things are going. Deborah says, be careful leaving your new dash cam in your car when in Auburn or Lewiston because they'll smash and grab it.
No. That's a good point.
Deborah.
It is an interesting little tidbit. This blacked out car with blacked out windows is driven by here about 5 times in the last 5 minutes. So that's interesting. But
Debbie says, our children's future depends on cleaning up the strongholds in the Middle East. Turkey and shipping routes, China and the Silk Road, Russia and China. There's a lot of history. Yeah, and as far as Russia and China go, if we can have a really robust relationship with the new Iranian regime, that would put us in the catbird seat when it comes to those guys, and especially, their oil consumption. And, it would be very good if this works out. I did hear today, or read that there's some of the Chinese Navy is heading towards the area. Who knows? There's so much disinformation, and who knows? I don't think anybody on the planet right now wants to be in a hot war with us because we're putting on quite a show, and technologically, it's astounding to watch this stuff.
China needs that Iranian oil, though, Tom. They do need that Iranian oil. So,
there's a clear difference in posture between how the military is operating under Trump 2.0 and the rest of my life, where it feels like we're playing to win for the first time ever. It feels like we're not playing to provide money to these manufacturers. It feels like we're playing to win, and we're doing whatever we can to win as soon as and effectively as possible, which is a refreshing change of pace.
And there's something else that's happening here that I think that's part of a bad part of American legacy. John and Graham, is leaving countries in the lurch. Like we did that in Vietnam and Cambodia. We left a lot of people who helped us in the lurch. Some made it over to the U.S., many didn't. And we've done it in Afghanistan. Joe Biden left a lot of people in the lurch. The Taliban just massacred them. And this time when Trump said that we were going to help you a month ago, and then we seemed to not help them immediately, I don't think Trump likes that. I think to his brain, that's considered the ultimate in disloyalty and dishonorable. And so I like the idea that we told you people who, by the way, like 30,000 of their citizens, the regime killed. We said we were coming back to help you. Douglas MacArthur, John, I shall return. And we came back. Trump came back, and this is their best shot at being able to do something. And who knows? I mean, do you see that or recognize that you think there's a moral reason to be doing this, John?
No, I mean, this is the opportunity for them to, reclaim their country, and that's what he has said all along. And I know that, some, the former regime's family members are trying to, hold on to power, but this is time for Iraq to stand up and say, hey, we want a brighter future for our kids and the next generation. Because if you don't seize the opportunity now, then it is all for naught. Because if you let the current regime win, then why are we there? But as there's things going on, behind doors and behind the scenes that, I'm not a big fan of nation building, as I've said many, many times, but this is the time now where you encourage people to, to step up and run and, take your country back, absolutely.
And Graham, I would also say this is a time where, and actually this goes good with Peter says, you hear a lot of this from the people from a lot of corners these days. Peter says, how about Colin's campaign being funded by AIPAC, 843,000 big ones, 2025? I don't know the number. I know that AIPAC's allowed to lobby like everybody else. And I'm pro-Israel, so I'm not offended by it whatsoever. But one thing, Graham, that we've seen is Israeli intelligence is awesome. The newest Ayatollah had a term of 2 hours before they got him.
Yeah. I think Israel has kind of broken people's brains in a way that Trump is breaking people's brains. I'm not a rah-rah pro-Israel guy. I'm fairly neutral on them as a country. And if I'm being honest, everyone was complaining about Russian interference in elections. It does certainly appear to me that Israel might be interfering or influencing our elections more than Russia ever did. That being said, they're clearly a very pro-America country, and this whole like shaming everyone for AIPAC, I personally could care less. I think there's a gazillion other PACs and lobbies out there that are all giving money, and like that random account, that AIPAC tracker account, which is run by two absolute losers who look just like Central Casting, don't necessarily trust their data. So I have no idea if that number is true or not. It might be, but I'm not taking that as gospel because the AIPAC tracker tweeted that out. It's hard for me to imagine a more successful operation than the Venezuela operation. Speaking of nation building, we didn't try to nation build in Venezuela. We took out Maduro, we arrested him, and now we're getting along excellent with the leader of Venezuela. Trump just had a big tweet about her yesterday, and she did a video thanking Trump, and she was the elected vice president under the Maduro regime. It appears that everything I can see indicates that has been an unbelievable success. And there's the lady who won the Nobel Prize, and I think it would have been a huge mistake to try to install her as president. And I think almost any other person would have done that. I don't think that would have worked at all. It's just a difficult thing to do, to kick, because the government is more than just one person at the top. So you can't take out Maduro and swap her in. You need to remove hundreds of different people. And that's just a logistically challenging thing to do. Whether or not she even had the support of the people, I don't really think she did compared to what people in America say. She wasn't even living in Venezuela. So, you know, if Trump can do a similar thing in Iran, take out the Ayatollahs, but keep some structure of government in place that was already there, I think that's the way to do it. And maybe that's what they're trying to do. We'll have to wait and see. But I agree. I don't want like a 20-year occupation of Iran where we are funding all these NGOs. I want to get rid of the bad guys and to let the good guys start governing again.
Featherston on the move here, Graham. John, what you got?
Well, the Cadillac's moving. I'm going to try to talk to him.
Beautiful Lewiston scenery here. Taking off, running away again.
Running away again.
Deborah says, how about some security guards for you guys? You're exposing the truth, and many don't like that. Keep up the good work. Yeah, so far the Cadillacs, thankfully, are driving away from John.
All the security we need right here, Deborah. The Maine Wire sword of truth. We got the truth on our side. We're good. Although John should probably get security, if I'm being honest.
Well, that was disappointing that he got away again. But, you know, tomorrow's a new day.
We got to get our hands on some Temu swords of truth and get those on the site. Send those out.
This is not Temu, Tom. This is a one-of-one handmade, custom, beautiful sword. Let me actually take it out of the sheath here.
You have a pineapple or anything, Graham?
Well, this one's actually not sharp. It's ceremonial, so I can grab it like this, but it does have a very pointy, so you don't want to. It's more of a rapier type of thing, but let's see if this will come across. It's got beautiful engraving all the way down. I don't know if it really comes across on camera that well.
Yeah, no, it looks beautiful. God.
But Tom, can I ask you a hypothetical question?
Sure.
If you were running a company and you knew somebody had some concerns and was a reporter and was doing a live broadcast outside your business, would you just sneak away, or would you say, hey, here's my card, call me next Tuesday and we'll set up, we'll have coffee or something? I mean, what am I missing here?
If I were a fraudster in Maine, or somebody who had the appearance of being a fraudster, I would try to charm you, cups of coffee, dash cams. I would do like whatever it took to get close to the reporter. You know this, John. When I was at the Boston Herald, the reporters used to take the politicians out to lunch and beers.
Yep.
And vice versa. You want to have a rapport with these people because you might need each other at some point. And even if you're Graham Plattner, which is to his credit, he spoke to you.
Yeah, hundreds of times. Yeah.
At some point, somebody like that may want to get some information out, and the whole science behind off the record conversations. A lot of times it's a way for an elected politician or somebody in government to leak information to a reporter so that he can set them in the right direction. So it's not all like secret shadiness. There's a reason why people build a rapport, but these guys don't these guys aren't speaking English, John, which is going to be a problem for them. But here we go. Who's this?
Hey, how are you? Once again, no acknowledgement, but you know what? We did have a good acknowledgement in Lewiston today, though. That I don't want to. We're running late, but I did go to the root cellar today. So.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah.
I wanted to play him. Let's try to remember to play it tomorrow. To get that gentleman on tomorrow. We had it in the barrel, but we didn't quite get to it.
Yeah, we'll get the video out on social media, so you can stay tuned. We'll get that out in like 20 minutes.
Good, nice, because it's a good video. It's a turning point, I think, in the city of Lewiston and the shooting victims. Yes.
As far as the video that we had played earlier. With the F word in the pool playing, which I still think is just fantastic. Let's see. We've got this is the Troy Jackson video with Graham Plattner in it. Jacqueline says, like, what the heck is a firefighter in full turnout gear doing in a pool bar, while everyone just continues to play pool?
Yeah, exactly.
Excellent observation. We should probably grab that, actually. It's a great point.
We'll do.
Jacqueline, thank you so much. All right. So Robinson is out and about still. He's on the move. So no Steve tonight. But John Featherston, thank you. We've got more great Featherston video coming. Graham Pollard with his sword, newly engraved sword, which will be showing itself on March 24th. You can see this sword, this blade, in action on March 24th in Bangor. I am Tom Shattuck, John Featherston, Graham Pollard, Tom Shattuck of the Maine Wire. We will see you tomorrow at 4 p.m.